law enforcement. Thank you, Governor Abbott, for always embracing all of our Hispanic neighborhoods from the very first campaign you ever ran and to this day with your policies and everything you do in our great state. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Greg Abbott.
Well, thank you all very much. Give it up for Henry Bonilla for his leadership and everything he's done. It's really remarkable because there's been so many trailblazers who really were involved as a catalyst in connecting the Hispanic community in Texas with the Republican Party. Henry is one. Hope Andrade is another. Roy Barrera, who I did not see. Roy Barrera, when I first ran for Attorney General, there preceded me Roy Barrera, who ran for Attorney General here in the state of Texas. He took me under his wing, mentored me, worked with me, connected me with the folks here in San Antonio and elsewhere. Roy, thank you for your legacy of leadership and connecting the Hispanic community with the Republican Party. We also have with us here today two other, that I know of, at least two other elected officials at the statewide level. We have Jim Wright, who's with us, who's on the Railroad Commission. Jim, where are you? Why don't you stand up and be recognized? Thank you for your service. And we have your very own state representative, Steve Allison, who I think represents the area where we're in right now. Steve, thank you. And I want to call out Orlando. So Orlando and I, there probably is no one in this room that I've known longer than I've known Orlando. Orlando and I go back to my Houston days, back to the 1990s at least. And it was really fun to watch Orlando work his way through the political system in the community of Houston, leading on to your own public service in Houston. But not only were you a tremendous public servant, you were an outstanding role model to show what Hispanics can be as leaders of the community, whether it be in elected office or not in elected office. Thank you for being such a great standard bearer for what can be done in the Hispanic community, representing Texas and American values. Thank you, Orlando. And then, of course, there's John Lujan. So you deserve this Tough Tejano Award for, in my opinion, one single reason, that others who have not put their name on the ballot would not comprehend. Him putting his name on the ballot, running for election. Do you know what running for election really is? You turn into a spear catcher. You are catching the arrows that are slung at you every single day. So you had the guts, the fortitude, the toughness. When we as a party asked you, begged you to put your name on the ballot and run in that district, we told you we would be behind you every step of the way. This is the first time. You did it, you won, you got elected. And then later on in the general election, you lost. And so there was an even steeper hill to climb. The second time, when we came back to you, that showed you really were one tough Tejano to agree to put your name on the ballot again. You ran again. You got elected again. And now you're serving as a state representative the second time. All I ask to everybody in this room, in November, elect John Lujan to the Texas House of Representatives. We need him in Austin, Texas during the next regular session. So I mentioned in a way the way that Roy Barrera connected me with the Hispanic community, but as Roy himself knows, my connection to the Hispanic community began long before that. You know, when I got involved in politics, people said, you know, what Republicans really need to do, they need to reach out to the Hispanic community a whole lot more. And I had a handy answer to that issue at the time, and that is, listen, I reach out to the Hispanic community every single day when I put my arm around my wife and give her a hug. The woman from San Antonio that I married, who is now very proudly the first Hispanic First Lady in the history of the great state of Texas. So you learn something new every single day, and I've learned something new today, and that's a good thing. And that is that the Republican Party has an ace card that we can throw down anytime we want. And the game is over. And all we got to do is use this ace card. The ace card is Chingo. So when Democrats start cutting me up, I'm going to call out the Chingo card. Say, Chingo, come here. Take the stage, and it's over. It's lights out. That's some good stuff. We want to get you involved a whole lot more. So in a quasi way, I have a Chingo story. It will not have the sense of humor you're able to summon to it. But listen, I'm as a concern to the Hispanic community, I'm kind of like are there any converted Catholics here? Maybe not. You're a lot of natural born, but you have converted Catholics. You have converted Tejanos, which is what I am, married to a Latina, and you learn things as you go through your marriage. And so my wife wanted to invite her family over for Thanksgiving Day. I thought, sure, that's fine. We got enough plates and stuff like that. And I'm thinking we'll have, her mom and dad and brother and sister. We have 6 or 8 people. We had 250 people show up. And that was her family. And you learn as you go. But that is a core component of what the Hispanic community is all about, and that is family. Another is the faith that you saw prolifically in the video profile of John Lujan. I know that faith permeates the people in this room. More importantly, it permeates the Hispanic community across Texas and perhaps across the world. So that faith, that family, and something that Chingo talked about, and that's freedom. If you have to reduce to one single word about what is the most important thing in the state of Texas, in fact, the most important thing that's on the ballot itself this November, in one word, it would be freedom. It's freedom that's threatened more than anything else. It's freedom that we cherish more than anything else. It's freedom that we need more than anything else. It's freedom that is challenged more than anything else. It's freedom that the Hispanic community in Texas embraces as much as anything else. And then a corollary to that is the free enterprise system. Listen, the free enterprise system is what has allowed the United States of America to be the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. It's that free enterprise system that the Hispanic community rightfully wants to tap into. And the reason they want to tap into it is they want to be able to achieve their own vision of their own business success so that they can provide for their own family and elevate their own family up the economic ladder. There's pride in that. Think about this. It would be one thing if somebody gave you $1 billion. If Elon Musk called you and said, listen, Chingo, I want to give you $1 billion. You'd be happy. But it doesn't give you pride. There is pride that goes along with having a job. There's pride that goes along with demonstrating a work ethic. There's pride that goes along with showing that by having a job, earning a paycheck, working your way up the economic ladder, that's success that you've been able to achieve, that you've been able to use what lies within yourself and do better for your family. And in doing so, hopefully showing your children and your grandchildren what the right pathway really is. And that is exactly what the Hispanic community stands for with that free enterprise system, and that is exactly why the Hispanic community is so antagonistic to the Democrats these days by going through this system where the Democrats believe it's handouts. I want to hand you, give you this, give you that, give you this, give you that, and thinking that the Hispanic community is going to be dependent upon the handouts that the Democrats in Washington or Austin provide to you, thinking that that is what you want. When in reality, you want your own independence, to have your own job, to design your own future without government telling you what to do. And because the Democrats have not understood that, they've opened the door wide open for Republicans. Now, there's several components of this, one of which is no one's going to embrace you unless you embrace them. And that's exactly why I've set an all-time record that no one even comes close to. I have been to the RGV more than any governor in the history of the state of Texas, making the connection with the people in the RGV. And it's fair to say, but in a way unfair to say, that I've been to San Antonio more than any governor in the history of the state of Texas. If nothing else, I've just been here with my family and my wife's family, et cetera. But for other reasons also. But there's that constant process of reaching out. The other is this notion, and I just relish in this because it's a notion that was talked about all the time for the past 10 or 15 years, prominently by Democrats in San Antonio who preached one dogmatic theme that they convinced everybody, saying that the state of Texas is turning blue and it's just a matter of time. They said this phrase, many of you probably have heard, and that is, demographics are destiny. And what they meant by that, they knew that the growing percentage of population in the state of Texas that would become Hispanic. And mathematically, they calculated, well, when that moment in time comes, the state of Texas is turning blue. So their description was correct. Demographics are destiny. Their calculation was wrong. Their calculation was, once Hispanics have a plurality, which they do now have, of the people in the state of Texas would be blue. Their miscalculation was thinking that those Hispanics would be voting for Democrats. They got the calculation wrong, and we're seeing the results of it. Every year that I've run for governor, I've gotten about 45% of the Hispanics. That's good, but let me tell you, what's going to happen this year, I will get more than half of the Hispanic vote in the state of Texas in my campaign against Beto. But what's taking place is far more than that. It's far more than what happens in my campaign. It's exactly what was talked about earlier. And that is the real difference. The movement of the Hispanic vote has gone this way. Hispanics did not vote. They stayed at home and really didn't get engaged. And then they begin to turn into voters, and through that process, Republicans reached out and engaged with them and got them to go out and vote for Republicans increasingly. But now we are at an altogether different stage. The stage we're at now is where we are getting Hispanics to be the candidates who are running for office, who themselves will get elected. So they're going to be terrific candidates, just like you talked about Myra earlier. In addition to her, there's a proliferation of Hispanic candidates running for office in the RGV, in border-related communities, in the Dallas area, in the Houston area, in regions across the entire state. There was a time decades ago when you thought about Hispanics were in South Texas. Listen, Hispanics are maybe more populous in Harris County than any other state, in Dallas County, and the suburbs, and they're everywhere across the state of Texas. And just as they've gone everywhere across the state of Texas, their values have come out even more strongly, favoring Republicans more strongly, themselves wanting to get on the ballot. And when we have these incredible candidates on the ballot who are Hispanic running for office, they will bring out the Hispanic vote more. And the Hispanic community writ large is going to realize, wait a second, Myra is a conservative. She's a Republican. I'm like her. I agree with what she does and go to the soccer games with her, go to the grocery store with her, go to church with her, things like that. I must be a Republican too. And you will see overnight a massive change. So not only am I going to win the Hispanic vote in the state of Texas, Republicans, for the first time ever, are going to win counties on the border. We're going to win counties in the Rio Grande Valley. We're going to win locations that have never been won by Republicans before. It will be because of Hispanics voting Republican. And just like Henry Bonilla was talking about, all you got to do is look at the value sets. We have actually had an accelerant to this process. So naturally, Hispanics share conservative values. But the Democrats' candidate made it easier for us than ever before because, there was a time when they used to be Democrats, and then they became liberals, and then they became progressives. Now they are socialists. They are representing and articulating and advancing the policies of Ocasio-Cortez. And Ocasio-Cortez, she may very well speak for the people of New York for all I know, but one thing I can guarantee you, the people of Texas, they don't believe in what Ocasio-Cortez is selling. And the Democrats in Texas who are perpetuating exactly what Ocasio-Cortez has been selling, they are going to be crushed and crushed by Hispanic votes. Just like Henry Benini was talking about. In Texas, Hispanics, just like everybody else, you want safe communities. You don't want to defund our law enforcement. You support our law enforcement officers in this state. My niece, the niece of my wife, is a member of the San Antonio Police Department. She goes to work every day, a proud Latina, working to serve and keep safe the people of this community. And you see from the national security standpoint that Henry was talking about. Listen, what's going on the border is unlike anything that's happened in the past. There was a time, there may still be a time when there's going to be a movement of agricultural workers. And for those who don't know, it was my wife's grandparents who moved from Monterey to San Antonio. They met in San Antonio, but they came here for work like so many other people have in the past. If you look and see what's going on the border today, that's not what's happening on the border today. There are people coming from 157 different countries, and they are bringing extraordinary challenges, including people who are coming from terrorist-sponsored nations. It is a violation of the president's oath of office to have open border policies where people are coming in who pose an imminent threat to national security in the United States. The Hispanic community does not support that. They strongly support our efforts to secure our border. And Shingo, you mentioned this. I mean, this just gets too easy. Because one thing, like we talked about freedom. Freedom is a broad concept, but we reduced it to words in the Constitution itself. The Constitution and through the Bill of Rights guarantees certain freedoms, one of which that you brought up, and that is your Second Amendment right. And so if you ever, I know there's potential candidates here. If you want to run for office in the state of Texas, do not get up with TV cameras on you and say, hell yeah, I'm going to come take your gun. You will never be elected that way. The good thing about it, people know that commercials, TV ads that you run are 30 seconds long, and we have a beautiful 26-second, very conveniently, 26-second segment of Beto saying, hell yeah, he's going to come take your guns. You're going to, in October, you're going to say, man, if I have to see that freaking ad again, I'm going to shoot Abbott myself. I'm not going to characterize Beto. We're going to allow Beto in his own words of what he said about how he said, hell yeah, he's going to take your guns. He said that he wanted to tear down the wall and he wanted open border policies. He said that the Green New Deal is the best solution he ever heard. That would destroy more than 1 million high-paying energy jobs in the great state of Texas. Energy jobs, by the way, that provide freedom fuel to the European Union that needs to wean itself off of fuel provided by Russia and instead use fuel provided by Texas. So in closing, let me just say this. I want to thank everybody here for what you all do in the Hispanic community to share your conservative values with others in the Hispanic community so that they can connect. They know you, they like you, they're your friends, or they may get to know you. And with you reaching out and connecting, it changes everything for them on that interpersonal level. That's exactly what you need. And so with your help, we will keep Texas red. We will ensure that we turn South Texas red. With your help, we are going to elect so many new members to the United States Congress. We are going to fire Nancy Pelosi as the Speaker of the House. And we will save America from Biden and Beto and keep Texas the greatest state in the greatest nation in the history of the world. Thank you all. God bless you all. God bless the great state of Texas.
remain standing. Our event is concluding, but I got to tell you, when you have Abbott, Chingo, and Charlie Amato at an event, that's a party that I'm glad to be at today. Thank you all for attending. Take one look. Take this with you, because you will see the QR code for Texas Latino Conservatives to learn more, and I'm sure after what you've seen today, you'll want to be part of it. Thank you.